let's bring it back to the Matterport Pro 3
Yep.
camera. Is do you have angst that Matterport offers BIM files?
I do.
Any of the Pro 3, Pro 2, Pro 1, BLK 360 first generation, coming soon, BLK 360 second generation?
I mean, I think it's all using the same underlying data that we have problem with. And, you know, the problem is you're going to get this BIM and it's going to look great, you know, and you're going to pull up your Matterport imagery and you're going to go in and look and compare and go, you know, is this modeled right? And it probably is going to look a lot like the imagery that you see in your Matterport tour. But the measurements that are behind constructing that BIM are still from that not so good point cloud data that the Matterport is going to generate. So
what help me out, because you probably know what BIM level does Matterport generate? Is it LOD 100? Is it LOD 200? Is it LOD 300? And what point are you nervous? LOD 300, LOD 200, LOD 100?
Well, I think you have to understand what LOD is, first of all. Level of development is the degree to which you create a model, right? So the lower the level, 100, is very, very basic forms. It's more of a massing model. There's not much detail in that. As you go to 200, it's still generic, you know, say wall assemblies. You know, you're going to have a certain degree of accuracy with the geometry, and you're not going to be expecting to see a lot of fine detail on those elements. When you get to 300, it kind of changes the equation a bit, because now, by definition, LOD 300 requires information on the assembly, what's inside the wall. And, you know, whether you're using a Matterport or whether you're using a high-end, you know, terrestrial laser scanner, that's a concealed condition. They're not going to capture that information.
Oh, totally get it. So would you feel comfortable if a Matterport Pro 3 camera was used to create a BIM file of LOD 200 or less?
I could if I knew what that purpose it was going to be used for is. I think
purpose is still important, very important.
Yeah, I wouldn't use it for construction documents.
Yeah,
I wouldn't feel comfortable with that. I would maybe for preliminary design or early design.
I think we're missing a big differentiation here. LOD, especially in the 100 and 200s, has no relevance or definition to the accuracy of that model. You could have an LOD 200 model that's out by 1 foot. It's still an LOD 200 model.
Yeah.
So it's just, there's no reference to accuracy when you're talking LOD 100 and 200.
Point taken. Is there, before we move on, is there anything else in terms of the Matterport E57, or for that matter, the Matterport Matter Pack, or the E57 as it compares to, I'm just trying to find, is there any carve out that a Matterport service provider could feel comfortable regarding delivering an E57? And maybe, John, that's back to you in terms of what's the intent? Is it being used for early design and planning stages and not for construction?
Yeah, I think for the service provider, they just need to be clear on what they're handing over. And if they can, you know, find out from their client what their client's needs are, then they can decide, you know, whether or not they can provide what meets with those needs.
Mm-hmm.
But I would highly recommend that you talk to your clients and ask them a bunch of questions. What do you intend to do with this data? I can give you an LOD 200 model, but what are you intending on doing with that? You know, today and maybe tomorrow, are you going to give this data to someone else? And what are you going to tell them if you give it to them? You know?
Yeah.